Welcome back to the Innovative Agency, everybody. Sharon Toerek here with you again today. And I always love an opportunity to talk about brand and branding. And I think today's conversation is going to be really special because we're going to talk to an agency owner that actually rebranded itself. And um, I can't wait to get into this conversation, Bill, because this it's kind of like a law firm owner finally getting around to maybe writing their own will or something. It's it's very cobbler's kids. And it's not a decision that an agency takes lightly. And so Bill Swanston, co-founder, president of now I want to say it correctly because it's a new name, Bosun, and you are a full service agency. I know you do a lot of work in the healthcare arena. Um, but what I want to really focus on today, first of all, welcome. Thanks for joining
Yeah,
me
thanks so much for having me.
for the conversation. Um, I think a lot of legacy agencies, and by that I mean agencies who start using the founders' names, right, in the beginning, which was your situation. There has to be a lot of sort of emotion around or sort of trepidation around actually adopting a new identity after it's been working for you as is for so many years. So let's talk about that for a minute. First of all, what made you decide after a number of years of, building legacy under your original name, which was a combination of the founders' names, correct?
Correct. It was
Yeah.
Frederick Swanston.
Okay. So what made you decide, first of all, that it was time to move forward with a new brand?
Yeah, there were two things really. It was our 25th anniversary. And so I sat down with my business partner, Scott Frederick, the Frederick and Frederick Swanston, and talked to him about taking a look at our past, where we were, and also where we are now, and where we want to take the agency in the future. Um, Part of it was buying the agency outright from Scott. So I was able to make the decision on my own without having to check with him. What do you think? So it was freeing in that sense that I could just, whatever the name was, I could decide that and move forward with it. So, but really it came down to the 25th anniversary, taking a look at how we originally founded the agency as a founder-led agency with a writer and an art director. And we are so much different than that now. We are a full service agency. We
Mhm.
like to say we're a crew powered shop of about 30 people in Atlanta. And it's really about the people now that work at the agency and less so about the two founders.
Do you So this is a recent change, correct? This has been within the last 6 months or so that
Last
this,
month, actually. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
got it. So looking back on the process, I guess the first big question I have for you is, do you wish you had done it sooner, or are you happy with the timing of when you did it and why you chose to do it when you did?
Another great question. So we were trying to do it on our 20th anniversary. Uh,
Okay.
yeah, so 5 years ago. A couple things happened, as you may remember. Yeah, big thing happened in 2020.
Yeah.
Plus, Scott wasn't ready to retire yet, so I had to wait a little bit for him to make the final decision. Okay, I'm ready to be an advisor. He's still involved in the agency on an advisory level. So yeah, I wish we had done it sooner. But when we did decide, when we did say, okay, this is going to happen, it took about a year.
So let's talk, all right, this is a hard decision. Obviously you were eager to do it at this point because you've been thinking about it for a while. So then my thoughts turn to the process of picking a name that encapsulates sort of how you've evolved from where you were to where you are now. Um, and as a trademark nerd, I got my experience prior to being an agency focused lawyer as an IP lawyer. And so I'm always thinking about brands and what their origins are and the whys behind them. And so I'm curious about your process. Naming is a science as well as an art. And how did you go about the process when the client was you versus how you might do it for an outside client?
Well, we did try to follow the same process we would do we would follow for one of our clients. So we're very fortunate that we've done this many times for many clients. So we knew the steps to take, and the really the first thing to do is to clearly define your brand positioning and your platform. We already had a clearly defined brand platform and how we try to differentiate ourselves as an agency, but we
Mhm.
wanted to dust it off, take a look at it, make sure it really did reflect who we are today. We did tweak it, to be honest, to be a little bit different. Our mission, vision, values did change. Uh, so we had that foundation first. We wanted to make sure we had our strategy first. What do we want to communicate with the rebranding? Understanding that there is an opportunity with us going out with a new name to say, hey, things are the same ownership, but things are also a little bit different. We are focused now on a little bit more of a more targeted outreach to clients that would be attracted to an agency with our positioning. Our positioning
Mhm.
is that we're trying to target brands that want to be bold, that want to stand out, that want to rise above. It could be a challenger brand, things like that. So you mentioned that we're big in the healthcare space. There's so much opportunity in healthcare, beyond healthcare, in any category, really. There's always an opportunity to challenge the leader. That's really what we're trying to position ourselves to be that
Mhm.
challenger brand.
So, I'm kind of curious about the chicken and the egg scenario here. Was the actual decision for the timing of the rebrand an output of strategic planning or mission vision planning for the organization? Or did you know you wanted to rename and decide you needed to refresh your strategic visioning so that you were picking the name that actually best reflected that?
Yeah, I'd say a little bit of both. We knew we wanted to come up with a new name that better reflected who we were as an agency. So just as we would with any client, we sat down and put together the brief. Like what is it we stand for today? What is it that we want to make sure we tweak and clearly communicate in the new name? So that was that framework, simple document, no branding, no new identity, nothing. It was just this is what the new name must communicate. And then from there, we started just iterating on names. And as you mentioned, just got to do your due diligence to make sure that the name is maybe not, it's going to it's a short name. It's 5 letters, Bosun. That name obviously is in use in other use case scenarios. But there is no other large ad agency that's using the name currently today.
So, did you go through iterations of selecting and vetting other choices as well, or
We did.
did you hone in on one pretty quickly? Okay, tell us about
No, we sure did. We had a whole bunch of names. There was a colleague of mine who works at an agency with the name Recess in your hometown of Cleveland. And
yeah, go
yeah,
Cleveland.
yeah, that's right. OH. So he had mentioned that one of his past clients had mentioned to him that they were the best part of their day. And he thought, well, that's a great name or great inspiration for an agency. We want to be the best part of our client's day. So we
Mhm,
did go down this idea of that because that is part of what our brand is about is being beloved by our clients, our crew, and our community. So we looked at names like Foursquare and hopscotch and things that were fun that relate
mhm,
to field day things that people would enjoy outside of your typical marketing names. What we found though is taking a look at our client list and back to that strategy, most of our clients are a little more serious. Even though they're
mhm,
bold brands, they're a little more serious, and we wanted to make sure the name would be appropriate for a client in the financial technology space, just as an
mhm.
example.
Got it.
Yeah.
All right, so you went through your due diligence, you made your selection, did your vetting, and then tell me about the consensus building process, or actually just the communication process around the whole change, because there's a lot of people who you need to kind of get buy-in from. I mean, you
Yeah.
were the decision maker, of course, but so let's talk about internally, your team.
Yeah.
How did you involve them in this whole process, and how did you make sure that you were getting their buy-in along the way so that they could socialize this,
Yeah.
with their client, with your clients and with their peers outside the agency, et cetera?
Yeah. So again, taking a page out of what we knew to do for our clients, we knew we couldn't just come out with the name. Hey, here it is. Love it. We really made sure that all along the way, we got buy-in from people internally and got them excited about it. And there is an excitement around the name, both internally and externally. First of all, Frederick Swanston is hard to say, hard to spell. It's the worst email ever. So it's not like we really had to twist too many arms to go to a 5-letter word for our website and emails.
Yeah.
So we at the agency we have different groups that are in charge of different initiatives. So it could be around workforce, it could be around success. One of them was around the rebrand. So we
Mhm.
had a team of internal ambassadors to help communicate the goals of the rebrand, to help communicate the name. We made sure that there was somebody from every department in that group so that the message could be communicated throughout the agency. We are a hybrid shop, so not everybody is in Atlanta. Some are in different cities. So it was important that we made sure it felt very inclusive. We got a ton of swag. People love their gifts, so we made sure the name is
Yep.
on high-end stuff across the board.
Got
Um,
it.
and then finally, we have an agency summit every quarter. So we are together all together, and we go through those agency initiatives and department objectives and goals. And that was an opportunity to really kick off the launch. We did have a mascot at our previous under Frederick Swanston. Freddie Swan was the Swan of mystery, and so we had a retirement party for Freddie, and really put a bow on everything.
I love it. So I'm imagining, a lot of camaraderie building and team building as a potential outcome of a process like this internally at an agency. Did you find that it had a cultural, just the process of going through it had a cultural impact on your team?
I think it did. Our new agency is based on the crew, on the people that work there. It really
Hmm.
is focused on highlighting them and their contributions to the agency and to our clients. And so putting it down on paper for them to see this is about you all. This isn't about Frederick. It's not about Swanston. It's about everyone here at the agency. And
Hmm.
so we also printed out cards that could go on people's desks for the mission, the vision, and the values, so that they know what their objectives are when they come to work every day. This is what your goals are today to achieve for your clients. So there was definitely an energy and an excitement that we truly are putting them first. It's about the people that work here.
And there's a forward lookingness to it, right? I mean, an agency or any business isn't going to go through the process of recasting a legacy brand, right? That's been around for, you know, a couple decades if they're not looking towards the future and
Mhm.
evolution and growth, right? So I would imagine that those are side effects too in your culture of, your team members got to be thinking, all right, this is, they're planning for the next iteration of what this business is going to be, which means that it's going to continue to evolve and grow. We're not stuck, either in the past or at the present.
I think that's right. We definitely have an eye on the future, both as an agency name and who we are, but the industry itself is just constantly evolving. So I think the agency has to evolve with it. It is scary, to change your name because you're losing the equity of the prior brand. And
Right.
we had a good reputation in the categories that we serve for sure, but I would imagine that a lot of the agencies that your podcasts reach are getting most of their business through referrals and through
Mm.
relationships and through connections. Outreach is great, but the vast majority of business that an agency like ours gets is because we were referred to someone else or it was a past client that then comes back to us. And so the danger of rebranding for a legacy brand like ours is less pronounced than it is for a client that might serve a larger audience. That said, there are definitely pros and cons if you're a large brand and you want to rebrand for sure. Uh,
Right.
Definitely, we've done it many times for clients that are in a market situation where they need to rebrand.
What did you learn about how to advise clients through this process as a result of going through it yourself for as a client, of your own agency?
Yeah, the devil's in the details. It's all about the little things. So you have to make, I love lists, I love spreadsheets.
Hmm.
And as a creative, might be a little surprising. But I love to check it off. I love to cross it off and such. And so you need to make a very extensive list of everything that has to change because you don't really think about all the little things. Everything from signatures and desktop screensavers and even payroll and
Right.
changing all the websites that you use,
Hmm.
emails. It's been a process. We're still not done. We recognize that. That's one thing that a lot of our clients feel like, okay, when we rebrand, it's got to be like day one, everything's done. It doesn't
Hmm.
really have to be that way. You can have a rolling launch. You mentioned, I think, visiting our website. It's still not quite done yet. We still don't have any work on it.
Yeah.
So we've turned that into a positive that we want to turn it into an ongoing campaign that we can start uploading current and even past work as our 25th anniversary. We can really showcase the work in a campaign versus trying to have everything done day one.
Right. That's all really great advice. So let's talk for a minute about how you socialize this sort of with your clients and with your prospects and just in the world generally. We talked a little bit about bringing your team along and the cultural impact of this internally, but how did you approach the conversations or the communication around making a big change like this with clients, prospects, industry press, all of those folks?
Great question. So just like we would for a client, we put together our own marketing plan for how we were going to communicate this rebrand. And it included both broad messaging to the industry at large, but also targeted messaging to our existing clients and prospects. For those current clients, we made it personal and let them in on the secret. And so they knew about the rebrand before the rebrand. And it was,
Oh, got it.
yeah, it was very exciting for them to find out, oh, you're rebranding. Tell me about it. And they could not, some clients, we gave a preview so they could see what was coming. But it was really exciting to hear the response from clients. We actually got, I think, maybe 3 or 4 past clients reached out with projects because they received our,
Wow.
yeah. So direct mail is still a thing if you can do it in a way I think that's compelling. We put together a pretty elaborate like mailer with their very own Bosun whistle inside that was had their name on it.
Got it.
So we really tried to make it exciting for clients. The broader outreach in the before we actually did the rebrand, we had like a preview of what was coming, and we did a Freddie Swan is retiring email campaign and social media campaign. So it
Fun.
was Freddie riding off into the sunset and Freddie in front of his trailer by the beach, stuff like that.
Freddie on the golf course.
You got it.
I love that. Um, that's very interesting to me that it also created some business development results for you that you hadn't anticipated.
Yeah.
Um, so, all right. What did you learn through this process that might result in you doing it a little bit differently if you had to do it over, or I don't know, sooner or later, or different choices? Because we all learn as we go through something like this, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, that's a great question. I've been trying to think about what would be a good nugget to remind people. And I really do believe it goes back to letting yourself have those mistakes along the way and not getting too caught up in it. So, for example, we really did want to launch the website with some of our case studies on there. That's what the first thing people want to see is, oh, have you done work in our space before?
Hmm.
So it would have been great to launch with work on the site. There's a few other pages on the site that haven't been completed yet. But instead of getting caught up in that, I think you have to embrace it. We turned a disadvantage into an advantage by now making that into a campaign that we're going to be able to use to communicate to past clients and current clients. And especially when we feature their work, I think there'll be a little bit of excitement around, hey,
Yeah.
you're getting the spotlight this month.
And are you going to create a case study of your own renaming and put it on the site?
We are now. What a great suggestion.
You're welcome. No charge.
That's a great idea. We'll
See
definitely
all
do
the
that.
benefits of being a guest on the Innovative Agency, everybody. Tell a buddy. Um, no, I think you should. I mean, look, every agency thinks at some point or another about doing this, right? A lot of agencies are itchy to do this all the time. And also the truth is, in my experience, both as a trademark and an agency lawyer, there's a lot of agencies out there that have the same name. Many of them go for years without realizing it or having any impact on their businesses whatsoever. But once in a while, when you discover it and you can't avoid it, and somebody's got to do something about it, I think
Absolutely.
it would be helpful for them to understand what it was like to go through the process. So yeah, I'm all about you putting a case study on your new site. I think it would be great.
Where we'll do it. I will say, back to your earlier question, we did not get bosun.com originally. We
Uh,
It was bosuncrew.com, and that was frustrating. So I would say, and it wasn't being used. They just wanted an absurd amount of money in the bidding
yeah.
process. So another, I guess, takeaway for us was keep watching the the things that you didn't get to achieve the first round, you might be able to if you just stayed vigilant. So
Mhm.
we followed the URL availability, and when it came up for sale, we bought it.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, a good tip there is that a lot of potential trademark owners don't always think about the domain name availability, or they sub the domain availability for trademark ability, and they're two very different things. So, you know, everybody's free legal tip for the episode is domain name availability, trademark availability, two parallel but separate things. So make sure you're, looking at both when you're doing a rename.
I love that. Yeah, we did ask our attorney, and when he trademarked it, he did say once you have it operating for a year, I'd love your advice on this. He said you could go back and try to challenge the people who are just squatting on that URL.
It's very circumstance dependent. So, and I don't want to get in trouble and give advice on the podcast, but happy to talk with you offline about it. It depends on a number of factors, but I think that again, a lot of agencies really they sort of have um, wanderlust for doing this themselves, but were there any particular difficult conversations you had to have internally about people who were resistant to it or afraid of it? And if there were, how did you sort of manage those? I mean, I know it was your decision because you became the sole owner of the agency, but I assume, your culture accommodates those different kinds of opinions and wanting to get everybody on the same team, right? That's part of your name now. So how did you handle that?
Yeah, great question. So there was one dissenter who
Oh no.
was Scott Frederick. Yeah, so that was funny.
Oh boy.
Yeah, and it wasn't that he didn't like the name Bosun. He started to have not regrets. That's not the right word. He started maybe a little bit of sentimentality towards the original
Uh,
name. Yeah, and so no longer being the owner of the agency anymore, he's like, well, maybe we don't need to change it. Even though, by the way, it was originally his idea to change the name of the agency. Yeah. In 2020, he was like, what about Tango? And we really liked that name. And then to your point earlier, it was already taken. There were a lot
yeah.
of great tangos out there. But anyway, so he originally had the idea of changing the name of the agency, and then decided, well, maybe we shouldn't change the name of the agency. And it wasn't that he didn't like Bosun. It was just, I think he was feeling a little more sentimental about Frederick Swanston.
Branding is existential, right? I mean, it's not just about changing your name or your visual representation. It it encompasses brand overall is so many things. In addition to that, it's your internal culture, it's how you show up with clients and all of it together. And so I would think that the timing of when you did it, along with his decision to sort of transition to the next phase of his professional life, it's existential, right? It's not as easy as it sounds to do.
Yeah, that's right. You can have a lot of emotional attachment to something, and it makes it harder to let go.
Yeah.
I do think after he sat with it for a minute, he was fine with it. But I do think there was a little bit of not seller's regret for a moment.
Yeah. Well, I think we could all take a lesson from that. I mean, the agencies listening who counsel their clients on brand changes,
Yeah.
who are having to get buy-in in their clients' organizations. That's a thing, that sort of existential look at it, and that sort of being um, not stuck in the past, but wanting to respect the legacy but also wanting to move forward at the same time. There's a lot that goes into making those choices.
I think that's right. And I think that's why it all goes back down to the strategy and
Right.
looking back to, well, what is the objective? Why would you change your name? What's the point? Okay, if that's a good point, I get that makes sense. You want to reflect who you are today as an agency or as a company or a brand. So
Right.
then putting together the framework for what the new name should reflect is essential. Rather than just coming up with a whole list of fun names, you really should start with the strategy.
Right. Yeah, it is a good sort of lifespan exercise for the organization. And it is multifaceted. And so it's good that you were able to find a junction point, right? A natural sort of marker in the history of the organization to sort of build it around. Not everybody has that, but um, if you can tie it to some other major event in the lifespan of your agency, it might make some of these other pieces fall into place a little bit more simply.
Absolutely. Yeah, it definitely needs to be grounded.
Yeah. Well, this has been a fascinating walk through the experience of I have always wanted to talk with, someone who has gone through the rebranding process um personally, and what it feels like and what kind of buy-in you have to get and what that process feels like. And so I'm thrilled we got a chance to have this conversation. And if there's other agency owners out there who would love to learn from your experience, what would be the best way for them to get in touch with you or to find you at your new agency website now that Freddie is retired?
Absolutely. Which, by the way, we do have a new mascot coming soon, so stay tuned
Cool.
for that. Yeah,
All right.
it's bosun.com, bosun.com.
Awesome. Well, Bill Swanston, co-founder, president of Bosun, thank you so much for sharing your experience with us today. I really enjoyed the conversation, and this trademark fangirl always loves a chance to talk about brands, so it was extra fun for me today. So thanks so much for joining us today on the show.
Yeah, it was lots of fun. Thanks so much for having
Me
me.
too. All right, everybody, thank you all for joining us as well, and we will talk with you on the next episode. And until then, everyone be well. Take care.